Welcome to Sober Shenanigans. Real talk and real recovery, sharing stories, old and new, trying to stay on the right path and help others just like you. So feel our flow and get on with the show. Here's your hosts, Stoff and Primo.
All right, we are. We're live now.
Live on the microphone.
We did it. We did it. We did hit the record button. So, interestingly enough, me and Greg are doing an impromptu show this morning. I know you are waiting for us to launch this episode. It's not quite ready yet, but it's also Greg's birthday today. Double nickels.
Yeah, fantastic. Lucky fives, double fives.
Yeah.
And speaking of fives, we are celebrating a big milestone today on today's show. We've reached 5,000 followers, which is unbelievable. The response has been great.
5 G's, baby.
5
G's from the OG.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but apparently 5,000 of you weirdos are following us, and that's fantastic.
I question my own sanity, and now I'm questioning theirs.
Yes.
No, I don't know who's more fucked up, but it's okay.
Yep.
We're gonna marinate in this crazy together.
Yep.
We're gonna learn to enjoy our insanity.
Yep.
You know, embrace it.
I agree.
Joaquin Phoenix, however you pronounce his name. Joaquin. Anyway.
Joaquin.
Thank you.
Phoenix. Yes.
Yeah, I would have butchered that name for a long time.
Well, I think they butchered it when they gave it to him. I'm not even sure what they were doing, but I know he comes from that Hollywood family, so they were probably walking around in the desert at some point. Like, hey, you know what we should name one of our kids? Joaquin.
Yeah, it's I'm sure that came to him in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
After maybe a bad chili dog.
Well, his older brother, unfortunately, who passed away, his name was River. Remember River Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, their parents definitely did a little LSD and probably some peyote.
Yeah.
Or something.
I think they were definitely hippies of some sort and
yeah.
Probably didn't shy away from trying experimental things wherever they could get their hands on them.
So I had a friend that her name was Tuesday. I'm like, well, how are your other 6 brothers and sisters doing?
Well, her sister Wednesday is part of the Addams family, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're doing a 5,000 follower special event. I felt it important to maybe give a little insight into us and kind of the energy that you guys give us to continue, and the obligation that we're feeling that this is an important endeavor, that we're definitely doing the Lord's work over here on Sober Shenanigans.
Yes.
And we're feeling a calling, and God only knows what we're calling for, but we have some exciting guests coming up too. We've got some great news about we're going to try to pivot into embracing some more of the digital world now that we're becoming podcast engineers. At least
you sure are.
Well, I'm working on it, man. I mean, it's fun. I mean, now I'm challenged to be to get the tech out there, to be competitive, use the AI, use the tools, and to launch this thing, with some structure on it, and use my wife owns an advertising agency. It doesn't hurt that I have somebody to talk to about, how do I create content and how did I get it out there so that it's appropriate.
Yeah.
And whether our content that we talk about is probably not going to be appropriate, but that we message it appropriately.
Right.
To the right places.
Right. We don't want to have wasted energy or put things that don't land, we want to try to do the best that we can. We're 10 shows in and just roughly 2 months, and to be at 5,000 is something I didn't think we would get to.
Right.
We're real grateful and thankful, and for everybody who is listening and going through this journey with us, we really appreciate you, and
we do have people reach out to us to want to be guests, which is great.
Yes.
We're trying to, as Chris said, as Primo said, we're trying to figure out how to bring people in from other parts of the country, other parts of the world, how to get them on the show. I know people have already figured this out, but they're not us.
Right.
We're still trying to figure it out, We don't look to our right and see a producer or an engineer. I look across the table and we see each other.
Yeah. So it's the definite energy that you and I, the chemistry that we've developed to work off of each other, and and the support that we were giving each other. Now, I am personally, like, we didn't have our usual time, and because your life is taking on the good things. The blessings are happening in your life, so your life's getting busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we get up out of the hangover and we're done with our blackout, we wake up and like nobody wants to hang out. We got all kinds of time.
Yeah.
Right. Now we don't have much time because everyone's loving us and they want us around and they need us.
Yeah.
We're dependable.
Thank goodness.
We're showing up.
Yeah.
So which gives me an idea. I was coming up with some show ideas, and I thought, well, I'd really like to do where I feature myself talking about humility, and maybe
feature myself talking about humility.
Oh, all right, you got it. You got this. Yeah, all right,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, where I could do some autographs and maybe just get some people in here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, go ahead. I was thinking of something the other day that just popped up. Is that what we like to say a lot of times is that there are no coincidences, but is there a more selfish line than there are no coincidences? Because if we believe there are no coincidences, then we believe that all of our life surrounds about us. If that song we just heard on the radio wasn't a coincidence, it's meant to be played for me.
Wow.
So that's a weird take, right? Like, because I totally believe there are no coincidences. But if I believe that, that means I believe everything around me is geared toward me. That seems selfish.
It's interesting. Me and my wife were having a conversation the other night where it got a little deep, and we were into all this. Our stepdaughter's not going to live with us if we get a robot. Okay, we're not allowed to get a robot that does the dishes, even though she complains about doing them.
Even though she probably won't do them either. So listen, stepdaughter, you do them then.
Yeah. So she's like, no, it'll kill me, and I don't want that in the house. I will move out and I will go somewhere else. So she's totally freaked out by it. And then I tried to explain to my wife. I said, listen, we're probably just like we're a simulated event for a whole nother universe and society.
Right.
Like, we're somebody else's reality TV show from another world.
Right. We're an aliens project.
Yeah.
Right.
So what difference does it make? You know what I mean? There's the coincidences, my ass. This is all, they're just having fun with us. They're fucking with us.
I mean, there's a lot of things in life that would let you to believe that, especially today with access to everything that you can see and everything being so transparent, and technology putting all of us out there, and, cameras everywhere. My daughter's a kindergarten teacher, and they don't have cameras in the classroom where she teaches, but the one thing she can tell them to keep them acting correctly or keep them in line without having to yell at them is she can say, remember, you're on camera. Do you want this to be shown to your parents? And they believe it immediately.
Wow.
And these are 6-year-olds. And they're like, oh, that's right. There's cameras. There's Ring cameras. There's cameras everywhere. So her just saying that, they believe it and they act right. So it's a weird.
Well, they still believe in Santa Claus at that age too. So
that's true.
You know what I mean? There's that trauma that they have to grow up with, and then they realize that they've been lied to.
Yeah.
So that it's perpetuating.
It's perpetuating is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It is. It is expanding and getting more intrusive and more encroaching, and so it just leads to, you might as well be honest and live an open and honest life, because you're not going to get away with nothing anymore.
So let's do a little reflection. Let's do a little travel back in time here. And let's reflect on how this thing started. And I think It started with, well, I told you we met and I said, obviously I was bragging about something or another. Like I have a studio.
My wife has a
Oh yeah.
podcast.
So I had to brag about my wife and her studio because,
That's right.
I just, cause I'm short and I need to brag about shit.
No,
Cause have that complex.
you did. That's what got the ball rolling. And then I came by and looked at it and I was like, holy shit, he's not lying. There is actually a podcast studio, a whole marketing company over here.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then
Second Soul Studios, by the way, for anybody that's listening.
Yep.
Second Soul, and I'm not trying to shamelessly plug this beautiful project, but this was a COVID pivot to this is what happens when you get cooped up for a couple of weeks. You end up with a new business. My wife will start 3 businesses in 2 weeks, and to reconcile her stir craziness of being in, you can't lock that woman up. She's got to work, man. She's got to be shucking and jiving, man. So this is a product of that. Very cool. Love it.
Yep.
And I'm glad I was able to find a power-driven maniac just like myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So you showed me the podcast studio, and then I drove 4 hours to visit my daughter in college. And while we were driving, my wife and I were listening to podcasts. And I thought, well, Primo has a studio. We have things to talk about. We're in this program together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great story to share. Maybe we should start a podcast. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. And it really started from a tiny nugget of an idea to now we're 10 shows, 5,000. We've had 5 or 6 guests. We got 5 or 6 guests lined up.
Yeah.
We're really grateful and thankful. And hopefully we are helping 1 or 2 people that can get something out of what we're sharing, which is just the beauty and the awesomeness of the sober lifestyle, and, not having to live your life around today's blackout or whatever it is that you're addicted to. Everyone has it built into them to become addicted to something, but you also have it in you to get over that and to move on, which is what we're trying to offer is some guidance and help.
So we're free. We are free to do what I want any old time. And I think it's important that whatever master we were serving, that we now are serving each other.
Yeah.
As the most important thing I can do is be of service to other people. And it's so difficult, man. I joke about humility and all these things. I think about myself and my stuff a lot, and I am aware of it, almost to the point where I wonder if is there a pill that I can take that will stop me from doing that? And it's I would like to have a fix because I understand that it's not healthy.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't matter how long you've been sober. I think it matters from the chemistry of the way that your mind works, and so this has been a rewiring of my diagram, and if you rest on your laurels, you're right back, man. It's it doesn't even take that long.
No. Your mind starts spinning. You start remembering what it was. I agree. The thing that we always say is that your disease or your allergy is outside doing push-ups while you're, battling it and you're staying away from drinks.
Sure.
And that's true because I found myself last week listening to some music that I hadn't listened to in a long time, and it brought me right back to where I was 3 years ago when I used to, just drink my day away listening to this particular music that I could get lost in.
Right.
And I was getting lost in it again the other day, but it was a weird feeling. It was like, man, I have not really listened to this sober. It almost, I feel like I'm not drunk again, but I'm almost back in that spot. And it was a little comforting because I loved the music, but it was also very difficult to realize where I was stuck at before.
Dude, it's almost like Thanksgiving, when you have that turkey sandwich, and the next thing you know, you just flashed back through 30 to 40 fucking Thanksgivings, right? And you're thinking about, well, the Lions, this is how the Lions lost on this particular Thanksgiving. If you're a Lions fan, which I am.
That's what you were thinking, right?
So I was thinking, oh yeah, that was the the Hail Mary or whatever the hell, whatever rule needed to be changed because of the Lions.
Yeah.
And, but it's, that euphoric recall is so prominent, in music, and the cool thing is when you can sit down and like listen to music again without having all that head trash, all that noise going on. You know what I mean? And just hear the music. Like I listen to Led Zeppelin, I'm like, holy shit. And I didn't listen to it. I mean, I grew up like listening to it. It's like,
Right.
every room in our house had a Led Zeppelin album playing for some reason, right? And because it annoyed my parents, I think, right?
Yeah, that's why.
Because they would
Why.
turn that shit down.
Right.
And so we would play it louder. And my poor parents. But I started listening, I'm like, how incredibly talented, these words and this music. How did they come up, and maybe it was the power of some of the psychedelics back then or whatever it was. But I was like, wow,
Yeah.
it's totally just brings you back and then you can sit in it. And then some of it is, glorifies certain behaviors too that you have to be a little conscious of, but we're free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're free people. So that whatever they're trying to push or sell, I'm more in tune with the artistic value of it than I am the message. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Music related, I always have a beat in my head. There's always a song playing in my head nonstop all day. It's been in my head for 40 years as far as I can remember. I'm inherently attached to music.
Sure.
My parents were singers. My mom was a piano player. I started as a piano player, a drummer, all kinds of things. It's just, it comforts me. It brings me back to some sort of rhythm and harmony in the world. And because I think that is the one, besides love, I think music is the one thing that travels infinitely between all of us.
Right.
And, we could go to a place that doesn't speak any English or anything like that. You go to Brazil. I went to Rio and they speak Portuguese, which you can't, you can throw your best Spanglish at them and then they don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what they're talking about, but you could certainly understand music together, which is one of my favorite aspects of it, is how it inherently rings with all of us. And I feel sorry for you if you don't have an appreciation for music. There are people out there that aren't musically inclined or don't even particularly like music, and I feel for them because it brings me harmony and peace all the time.
So I was kind of looking at this chat GPT thing here, and is it framework and a structure? So I wanted to maybe kind of go back a little bit. I know that you had the brainchild. Let's start a podcast.
Let's give it a shot.
And then we talked about music somehow, and then we got into that.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I kind of like miss it. Like this week I missed it. Like I'm such a creature of habits. Like I'm like, shit, man.
I know.
And I was like, well, all right, Greg is an adult again, which
sucks.
what the fuck, man? Why do you have to grow up all over again? You know what I mean? But it's just cool. This is the journey that we're on. And but I thought about, maybe talking a little bit about our guests that have come on.
Yeah.
And their
Good idea.
supporters. Yeah.
Sure.
Like, so first guest, Glenn.
Yes.
Yes.
Who gave us the term "no drinks today"?
No drinks today.
Which is, now it's our key phrase, and now our group chants it out at the end of some meetings.
So I see Glenn as like some sort of a silver savant in a way that where his recall of the big book and the instructions is really prophetic.
It is.
You know what I mean? So I listened to him like, shit, man, this guy was touched.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's an older dude that, I mean, if you listen to his story, he was locked up. I guess he tried to run over a cop in his car, and he definitely is the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
And now, he takes the bus to the meeting, to and from, every day.
Every day.
And I know people that will make up all kinds of excuses, to not go.
Yeah.
And he's there and he's participating and he shows up and he gives out these beautiful little photographs to people that he takes and he gets them printed over at Walgreens and he hands them out and he's just this really joyful, um, I don't know what he would have been like without the program, but I can see that it definitely worked in his life.
Yeah, I agree. That's why one of the reasons we wanted to have Glenn first, even though I don't know that it came through the way we see it every day when he was on the show, because he was a little hesitant, he's an older guy and wasn't really sure what we were doing. And
Right.
I'm not even sure he still knows how to download to listen to it.
I helped him.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But we love him and he means a lot to us because we know how heartfelt and how into his sobriety that he is. And you're right. His recollection and recall of things from the big book and steps and stuff is really great.
He drops pearls and you're sitting there like, that guy just said that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This guy got up and rode the bus here and had the wherewithal to regurgitate some of the great things that changed his life and share it with other people. I don't know. I look forward to it. Whenever I can, it's like mining. When you go to a meeting, you're mining for something. Like this morning I was like, I read the daily reflections kind of put me off a little bit into my own self again. Yeah. I thought about myself and my family and, and I was like, I'm not gonna share today because it'll be, everyone's talking about double rainbows and I'm gonna drop a big turd in this meeting. And so I decided not to.
Yeah.
And,
good choice.
I had one in the
first thought wrong.
I had one in the chamber.
Oh, I'm sure you did have a turd in the chamber.
So now it takes us to Detroit Lou.
Detroit Lou.
Our most popular, most downloaded guest.
Yeah.
And
he's a world traveler, AA world traveler with lots of connections, lots of people. He's got that tough schedule of where he's going to golf at every day. That leaves a lot of time for meetings and sobriety and to help people.
Yeah,
I think he's constantly on his phone with sponsees. I was with him yesterday and he was on that thing talking to, people calling him, calling other people, just checking in. He's a good guy.
He definitely is in the middle of the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I admire, I do admire Lou, and getting to know him is, we grew up in the same city, and I was in the suburbs, he was in the downtown area, so there's a little conflict there as to who's tougher, you know what I mean? Like who had it, so I don't know what it is, but there's definitely like this, almost like Ohio State, Michigan thing going on with us. And, but I totally respect him and his journey. I know that he's probably seen some things that, and his personal story that he shared was definitely a lot of tragedy, and I see him as, a really strong, a warrior of, and he's totally trying to give it back. And he very inclusive.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to say what he has on his mind either.
Nope.
And I appreciate
Which is what made him a good guest.
Yeah.
Why so many people download.
I love the transparency of Lou.
I do too.
You know what I mean? So I respect and appreciate that. Like there's, if there's something he's thinking you're not doing too well, he might let you know about it. And that black belt, hardcore street, it's tough. I gravitate towards that too.
Yeah.
And I actually beg for it a little bit. I goad it on a little bit.
Yeah.
So
you do. You like the confrontation.
So then we've got Rob T.
Rob T.
Probably
excellent show.
I
what
mean,
a good guy.
As far as the energy, when we were hitting our stride, and we get Rob in here, and he just, dude can talk.
Yeah.
He can roll with it, and he's got a lot of different shenanigans.
He does. Long time sobriety.
Yep.
Great stories how he came in and met you almost right away. As most of our guests so far, have long time. Well, a couple of our guests are long time.
Yep.
Sponsee, and just friends of yours from the program.
Well, I'm reaching in the Rolodex here. My Rolodex is going to get thin. So we are, for the people that are listening, we do. There's not like an exclusive club here. If somebody wants to be on the show and they want to share with us, reach out.
Yeah, if you have a story to tell, we'd be glad to talk to you. Especially, if you think it might help somebody, or if it's going to help yourself.
Right, and then after we listen to the show, we do the show and listen to it, and it sucks when we'll just say we didn't hit the record button or something. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Something like that.
But, I don't want anybody to think that they're not special enough or they're not cool enough or that this is an exclusive club. This is not.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, as being the youngest of 6 kids, don't like to be excluded. You know what I mean? Because of whatever reason. I want everyone to feel included and loved. And that's, because that's a bad feeling. My older brothers used to ditch my ass. We'd be walking through the neighborhood and they would say, well, I said, where are you guys going? Where are you going? And the next thing you know, they just take off running, knowing that I can't keep up with them. And I would run to try to keep up with them crying.
Yeah.
And they would just disappear into the sunset. And they'd be like, whatever.
I have a little brother. I know.
Oh, you ditched him too?
No.
Yeah, you had to ditch his ass? Yeah.
So then after Rob, we had Ben.
Yes.
And Ben was a great guest as well, from San Fran to Tampa.
Very, so these guys have inspired me, and graciously they took time, and they're very, they're doing very well in their sobriety, we'll say,
Mm-hmm.
And they can go anywhere and do anything. I mean, with no doubt, they can go anywhere and do anything as a result of their being sober. And because of the successes they've had, and so I was grateful that I could pull them on and have them share their story of hope and living our best life. Dude, that's what this show is about. Like, we're not going to sit around moping around in our life. We're going to go out and live it.
Right.
Action Jackson.
Action Jackson.
So, which we really have to go. I mean, if we're going to do this in sequence, we probably have to go with MJ.
MJ.
Namaste.
MJ Namaste. That was that was our first female guest.
I think that was the first time she shared her story.
Maybe she did go front to back with it. She did.
Yeah.
She did talk about, as many times as she moved, always trying to leave her addictions behind. So she would move to another town and then realized, of course, they caught up with her at that wherever she moved to. So that was a good story because I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I've thought of that too back in the past. I'm like, man, let me just get up and go.
Yeah.
I'm going to move somewhere else because I've ruined everything here. And then, it's going to follow you. I mean, I do have friends that have done that. I had a friend that was here. He moved to Kansas City because he had family there. And he was like, oh man, I got to leave my all this stuff behind. And he came back because his family's here.
Right.
But he came back with a clearer mind, a better sense. And I think that's kind of what she was getting to was, she traveled all around America. And her addiction followed her everywhere.
Yeah.
Until she got into the program and got her life back and got the freedom that we talk about. And now she's the happiest person around. I mean, it's great. MJ's just a walking piece of sunshine.
Yeah, I'm a good watcher of people, and I kind of dig her vibe.
Yeah.
And the yoga and the meditation. Meditation MJ, or she actually wanted to be referred to as meditation MJ. And or what we were trying to come up with a name because we started coming up with since Detroit Lou,
Right.
we had to kind of give everyone
It's a cool-
they have to have like the gangster shenanigan attachment and
Shenanigans.
But I will say that I definitely am a fan.
Yeah, me too.
So, oh my God. And then we have Goat Yoga Dennis. Literally a star in the making.
Yeah.
A star.
Yeah.
Quite possibly. Who knows?
Yeah.
He put us over the 5K.
You know,
It hasn't stopped since. It just keep clicking up and up. So, I mean,
thank you, Dennis.
thank you.
Yeah, he's another guy that came in here totally open and honest and just shared, we get some of these guys, the thing about being in the program or any type of program where you share
Right.
is you get used to speaking about these things.
Sure.
And that really helps when you come on a thing like a podcast,
Right.
where, people need to share and talk, because that's what the listeners are doing, is listening. And if you sit there and don't talk, they don't listen. So he was great. And he's a younger guy,
Yeah.
A couple of these guests that we've had are a bit younger than you and I, and it's great to see.
Yeah.
Because I can't fathom being their age and being sober for, whatever. He's been sober 10, 12 years, whatever it is. And he's only 30, 35 or whatever.
Yeah, 9.
Yeah, 9 years. And he's only, mid-30s. I can't fathom it. It took me to be, I didn't come in until I was 53. So I'm in awe inspired by the younger people who can come in and be so self-aware that they know they need it.
Well,
And then seeing how it transforms their life into such a better life.
I have to say, I mean, as somebody that came in young and I see somebody that's coming in older, it's quite impressive that you were able to elude the consequences as long as you did.
Yeah.
That just tells me that you're ultra crafty. And your disease has got a lot of, you're probably going to be selling yourself a lot of bullshit. One side of your brain's manufacturing the bullshit, and the other side is buying it.
Yeah.
So I would say that it's very impressive that you were able to stay out there as long as you did before the hounds of hell came fucking calling on your door.
Oh, they were calling. I don't know how I avoided, some of the
Right.
rehabs, what have you. I think I got really lucky. My higher power, my God was looking out for me because he wanted me to get here.
Right. I think it has a lot to do with your, as an athlete, that there's the three sides of the triangle. There's physical, spiritual, and mental.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing that your physical side helped keep you out there a little bit longer because maybe your impact wasn't as bad. Like if you don't take care of your physical aspect and you're drinking and drugging, it's like a microwave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the spiritual, I mean, I think you had a foundation with your family, other thing. So you had some foundations to support yourself to not go off the rails. But it was inevitable when
it was inevitable. And you're 100% right. My spiritual side of my triangle was minuscule, and I was brought up to where it shouldn't have been.
Right.
But I rejected it at a certain point.
Sure.
And I can tell you for sure that the devil came into my life right before I got here. He was there and he was messing everything up.
Yeah, well, it happens like that.
I had to fight him, and I was pushed to. It wasn't on my own. I thank my wife every day for pushing me to get my life straight.
I'm going to meet this woman one day because I think it's important to see, it's interesting to see somebody that has the power where they can, shift that tectonic plate, let's call it.
Yeah.
It's a seismic movement of something that has to happen for that spiritual awakening. And it's usually a threat of a loss of something that's dearly important. You didn't even know maybe at the time how important it was.
Nope.
Until you were faced with the loss of it. And then you're like, oh shit, all right.
Nope.
About face.
Yep. I walked around my house for 3 days. Didn't eat, didn't work, didn't sleep. Just cussing myself out for messing everything up. I did it. I was telling myself, Stoff, you finally did it. You messed it all up.
That's awesome.
It was like I knew I was headed to something. I knew I was the king of self-sabotage. I mean, I'd been doing it forever, but I'd always get a new opportunity to sabotage. I should have been done getting opportunities 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Good opportunities, right? And I was sure somehow find my way back into one and then inevitably mess it all up. So I was about to mess up the best thing that had ever happened to me in my whole life. And it's the best thing that ever happened was that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's
that
cool.
day.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, and it's cool that that we recognize. And today's reading was a little bit about living amends.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And I've been around the block a little while now, so most of the people there isn't anybody really that I know that's still alive that saw me drinking.
Hmm.
You know,
Wow.
and most of my family members that I would have damaged are gone except for one. And ironically, that's a relationship that needs repair too.
Yeah.
You know, and it is drug and alcohol related. And yes, I've been sober, and she's getting sober, and you know, I struggle with that. Um, you know, we've been through a little bit of you know, a Cat 5 hurricane. All of our assets were blown apart, and her home and everything was blown apart, and then she needed help, and I tried to be there, you know, but goddamn, at some point I need somebody to be there for me too,
Yeah.
you know, and let's see, the big reveal is coming on that,
Yeah.
you know, but I know that it's going to take a little humility on my point and a little leadership and all the skills that I believe I have. Um, but you know, there's certain things that you get worn out on, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyway, enough about me. What do you think about me? No, I'm just kidding. Uh, so now we got to talk, one other segment here, goals. You know, some interesting ideas, you know, is to maybe have some sort of call to action, with these followers.
Yeah.
Let's get some engagement here. Let's, you know, maybe have some people messaging us on our Facebook page.
We do have a few now reaching out
Yes.
to us, which is great. You know,
Right.
tell us about your sobriety date. Let us know how strong your group is, or how you're feeling about your newfound freedom.
We love suggestions. We love direction, suggestions.
We do.
And we love input.
We do.
Even though we may not take any of it, but we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want attention as well.
And we do have some guests lined up for future shows that are bigger profile than just a local person that's in our group. So we're excited about that. We're trying to develop the technology a little bit. We are trying to broaden our audience some, maybe different ages, maybe more women. I don't know. We're just, again, the whole thing about a podcast is you can kind of wing it, but you got to also kind of know what you're doing. And that's what we're trying to figure out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, being teachable has been, I think one of our strengths. And the fact that we listen to each other about what each other's view or vision may be, and how to create and curate this beast called Sober Shenanigans. You know, do we put merchandise out there? Do we, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I figured we get to 21 shows. I have a goal, and I want to get to 21 shows. I want to have at least 15 of those shows with guests. I like the fact that you and I can just sit down and blow an hour of discussion about a lot of different things or areas of our life. But I like to get guests in here. I like to get about 15 guests from varied backgrounds, varied lengths of sobriety, and different needs. I mean, there's people that have written a book about sobriety that want to come on. There's other people that, have other avenues, that they're doing on their social media, and they're influencing people in sobriety. We love that too. I mean,
Right.
You know what I mean? You collaborate and you work with other people, and it's a skill set that you learn.
Mm-hmm.
I, as a chef, I'm a very much a my way, the highway, very controlling, a standards person where things have to be consistent. You don't have this creative luxury. The last thing you want as a restaurant owner is to find a bunch of creative people in your kitchen. You know what I mean? You want some shit to be consistent. You know what I mean?
What do they call it? Too many chefs in the kitchen? I mean, that's actually a saying.
It can get crazy.
Right.
And then, so that's certainly one thing. And we've got some super fans, that we need to maybe, Dana has been consistent super fan. She may not admit it, but she's there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got,
My boy Chris.
yes,
My boy Chris. Yeah.
absolutely. And Tyler's
What's
been,
up, ho?
and MJ.
MJ. Yep.
MJ's firing up. And I think there's a few other, but the analytics from, that's what the analytics from Facebook tells us.
Right.
So I don't know. There's probably more. If you're not mentioned, we love you.
Yes, we love you. Thanks for listening and commenting, and drop into our DMs if you want some episode ideas, or even just put them out there. What do you think would be cool to talk about? Because this is just a celebratory show. This is our 5,000 thank you show. But we'll continue with maybe more focused idea shows or certain subjects that we think might be we might want to cover. And since this is our 5,000 show, and we on Sober Shenanigans like to do a celebrity quote of the week, today's quote comes from the king of podcasts, Mr. Joe Rogan.
You know, that dude sent me a message this week.
I saw that.
Yeah, wow.
I love that. But Joe is a notable sober guy, and here's what he says about it. He says, you know, I was always focused on leveling up. Why would I keep hitting the self-destruct button? Those just a few drink moments, they might feel harmless, but they're quietly holding you back, and they held me back from a real breakthrough in my own health, energy, and confidence. I mean, fun isn't something you find in a bottle. It's something that you create with a clear mind.
Ooh.
Bam.
Wow. Well,
Thank
you know,
Joe.
You know, the funny thing about him is I kind of got turned on to him through his podcast, and then I watched some of his stand-up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Guys, brilliant.
He's smarter, I hate to say this, but he's smarter than he looks. You know, he loves to play that muscle head kind of UFC fighter type, and you think, oh, maybe he's not that smart. No, man, dude is smart. And I remember him from the show News Radio, which is 40 years old, 35 years old, and he was just a youngster, and they put him on as he was the engineer of this radio station.
Wow.
And he was kind of the dual personality then. Someone noticed it, that yes, he was this in shape, built, kind of threatening character, but he was also the only guy who could fix the board when the radio station went down. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was like this hidden, smart type of guy. And it turns out in real life, he seems to be that.
I totally am impressed with him as a human being, with his dedication to his family and his wife. He seems like with all his celebrity, I don't know what it's like to be a celebrity and have, and to have all these things coming at you and having to make a decision on what the right decision might be, or, without getting into consequences. Obviously, I'm talking about, having women hit him. I'm sure women would throw themselves at him because of his success and who he is. And he's like, all that stuff is just chatter. And he's like, he's got the blinders on when it comes to his family. And he's an open book on a show, which is cool. I have no idea what all that stuff, how that would feel.
Yeah.
But I think that he handles it well, and he shares himself well, which is hard to do.
He's one of the first guys that really pushed the health agenda, which now we know is more important than anything. Your health. I mean, health is wealth. That's it. If you're healthy, you've got it all.
Oh, and he loves conspiracies.
He loves conspiracies. But he was, I think his theme is, work out all day, podcast at night, something like that. Joe Rogan, that's how they start the show. And of course, he puts the workout part first because it's very important. And as you and I are finding out in our real life, as we up our workouts to try to bring our fitness back to where it should be, I'm watching my parents and parents-in-laws and people get older and pass away, and it's a lot of it starts with a lack of strength, falling down, breaking something, and not the strength to get yourself back. And so we need to stay on top of that. I mean, you got to be, healthy is the best of everything.
Yeah, you're telling me.
You got to make it a priority.
100%. I'm definitely been, on a personal level. Let me ask you about your personal goals. Obviously, where are you at and where you want to be? You want to have a little bit more security, I'm guessing.
Well, I want to find, where I'm at now is fantastic. I love where I'm at mentally, physically. I like where my family's at. Everybody's doing real well. I'm just trying to find a new area to go into where I have a purpose. Right. If I could find a new, I'm looking for not a new profession, but a new way of making a living, I guess would be the way to put it.
Sure.
And if I could find one with a purpose, that'd be great. Something that, you know, is not just money driven or capitalist driven. It's got more to it than that, because I don't think, you know, my goals used to be to get as rich and famous as I could, and now I don't see a goal in any of that. I just would rather be happy, healthy, and make sure my family is covered and happy and healthy themselves. So, yeah, I've had so much transition in the last 2 years with this getting sober thing that I can't imagine what's next. It seems like something new comes on every day.
Right.
And I can't even predict it. I mean, you know, I'm open to everything, and that helps things come towards me, right? What they say about in the financial world, they say you don't chase it, you attract it. So I'm trying to attract good and attract benefits and attract, you know, the things that'll affect my future instead of chasing. Because, you know, so I was also seeing something the other day that, you know, work on yourself harder than you work on anything else, and everything else follows, which I was the opposite prior to this. I was work on everything else, money, whatever. And
well,
then,
the demands of all those things are the results. We demand results.
Yeah.
And then we get disappointed.
Right.
You know.
Right. And then, you know, that addiction is waiting there to comfort us when we're disappointed.
Yeah. It's, hey,
Yeah.
hey, me and you can work this out. Fuck them.
Exactly.
I get it. You know.
What about you?
You know, it's trying to get myself on a steady beam of I'm trying to get the business side of my life restructured after a Cat 5 hurricane almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's coming along, you know, but it's definitely.
Well, we had one 6 months ago too.
Yeah, but that's not a hurricane. That's a, you know, well, here, I mean, oh, look, if somebody's house got flooded and it's a big deal to them, I don't want to minimize it. Okay.
Right.
But, I had literally a house floating through my fucking parking lot. Okay. With people in it.
Jeez.
And now we're trying to figure out how to rebuild. So, I mean, it's all relative. But it's a fork in the road.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm trying to get back on the road that I was on, and I'm feeling good about it. You know what I mean? I'm feeling good about it. Like, I'm blessed to even have the problems I have.
Right.
But there's still issues, you know, and trying to get back into sailing. I'm trying to get, you know, me and my wife, get my wife to maybe work a little less, do a little bit more travel, you know, and obviously help other people, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the cornerstone of what I believe can lead me to happiness and a spiritual life. The physical part, I think I'm getting down really well. The mental part, you know, that's something I'm recognizing I have to do a little bit more action with. And I think that helps, that comes through working with others. You know, the chapter working with others is a really critical part of the long-term emotional sobriety.
Yeah.
And I try to do it. And, you know, lately I've been kind of swinging and a miss because there's not a lot. I used to go to a meeting where the druggy buggy would drop in 20 fresh ones, you know, and it wasn't hard to find a sponsee out of that.
Right.
But, you know, when I moved, you know, now the pool is a little bit deeper and there's not a lot of fish in it. So it's fine. I know that I'm doing the right thing. And this podcast is something, I want to see this through to the best of my ability. I want to follow this up. I want to grow this community, and I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying the fact that there's a community building here.
Right.
And I don't want to see it come together in a way that's harmonious.
Right.
You know, with the principles, you know, hopefully that is coming through like that. You never know what people, their perception may be different, but that's my hope.
I like it. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, listen, if you're having a tough time quitting, whatever it is that you know you need to quit, you're not alone. There's apps and numbers and groups in your town, or you can call us if you want. Leave us a message, 727-294-4933. Hit us up on Facebook. You know, taking that first step into a room or a chat or a group with people trying to get better just like you will be the best day of your life. Primo, what's your final point today on our 5,000 celebration show?
Holy mackerel, the final point, huh?
Primo's final point.
Wow.
Dun, 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 dun.
Pressure. I don't know.
This isn't going to be easy.
You know, just be blessed today, man. Somebody somewhere, you may be the only big book somebody sees. You know what I mean? You may be the only program somebody gets to see. So try to be an example of it.
That's why you get the final point. Right there is why you get the final point.
It just sucked that out of me.
Oh, dude, you got them just sitting, waiting on deck. I freaking love it. Well, listen, thanks for listening to Sober Shenanigans, real talk and real recovery. Worry, anxiety, and fear, it's all up in here, so give yourself a break. You're enough and you're doing great. I'm Stoff and he's Primo, and remember, no drinks today.
We're all in the same boat, fellas.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Shenanigans!